This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's Monday, December 4th, 2023 Bladen County Board of Commissioners meeting. I'd like to say Dr. Mungolins is a little under the weather tonight. She's not going to be with us. Mr. Conville had a personal issue come up this afternoon that he just could not get out of. We missed him. Looking forward to seeing him on the 18th at our next meeting. This time I'd like to ask Commissioner Cameron McGee to sign our invocation, and then County Manager Greg Martin, who will lead us in our pledge.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the day that you blessed us with. We thank you for our community, the special place it is to call home. We pray that you might give us guidance and direction tonight, discernment. Thank you for the privilege of serving those of this county. I pray we do it well. I pray we do it mindfully of the high calling that you place within us, humbly, and to do that which is best for those that have put us in this position, and that always we would do the right thing for thy sake. In Jesus' sweet name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our motion to approve our motion by Mr. Brick to approve the 10 items in the agenda. Second by Dr. Ellis. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This time I will turn it over to County Manager Greg Martin for election of board officers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This time we will have the election of board officers. We'll begin with the office of chairperson, and nominations are now in order for the office of chair.
Mr. Chair, I nominate Mr. Peterson.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Peterson has been nominated. Any others? Here none, we'll close the floor for nominations. All those in favor of Mr. Peterson signify by saying aye.
Aye. Abstain.
Congratulations, Mr. Peterson. This time we'll have elections for the office of vice chairman. Nominations are now in order.
Dr. Danny Ellis. Second.
Dr. Ellis, any others? Here none, nominations are closed. All those in favor of Dr. Ellis signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. Congratulations, Dr. Ellis.
Thank you.
Condolences. Condolences.
Yeah.
For both of you.
I think we have
Second.
a setting.
All right. This time we will take a short break, have a reception. Like to join us on the next door.
This conference will now be recorded.
Individual delegation wishes to address the Commissioner, Harmony Hall President Emily Turner.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you all? You're probably saying, who's Emily Turner? Well, it's the crazy newspaper lady. So I used to work at the newspaper for 10 years. I did a newspaper business. I was at Sampson Paper for a while, and then here at the Bladen Journal. And so I stepped away from the newspaper completely. Sorry, I had to. So I got married at Christmas last year, so now I'm Emily Turner. And I came here tonight with the goal of sharing with you guys some stuff that we're trying to do with Harmony Hall. I have learned through various sources that there's been information that's been put out about Harmony Hall and what we're doing that conflicts with the facts. And so I'm here also to clear up any misunderstandings or confusion about anything with Harmony Hall. I'm an absolute open book. If you have any questions at all, you can get, Maria's got my email and my cell phone number. You can call me at any time. I am president. I got voluntold. You know how that goes. So here I am. But I've been involved in Harmony Hall since May of 2017. I came to an open house and I just fell in love with the place. I don't really even have any ties to Harmony Hall other than I've got Bladen County relatives. My folks are from the Council Rosendale area, and my dad's great someone in there we still own property in Bladen County. We've got about 200 acres out that way. So I titled this today, Healing Harmony Hall, for a variety of reasons. We've got a lot of work to do with the house. There's a lot of work to be done with getting us back moving and slightly adjusting the trajectory that's been Harmony Hall in the past. And I wanted to kind of explain these things to everybody so that they'd all be on the same page, but also, be here to answer questions. And that's, I'm a firm believer, especially with my newspaper background, about transparency. If anybody has any questions about anything, our books, our member meeting notes, you have we don't hide anything. So it is available. If somebody wants to look at it, that is not a problem. Okay? If anybody has any questions, stop me, because you know me, I'm 100 miles an hour. So we'll go ahead and get started. So a couple things I want to talk about today. We've got some new programming. So we're going to talk about the new programming that's coming up. We're going to work on updating some material because there's not really been a lot of cohesive programming, I guess you could say. It's kind of been just focused solely on the house, which is, that's the jewel in the crown. Harmony Hall's jewel is, the Richardson house. However, we do have other things on the property. And so I want to capitalize on those other things that are on the property and the other buildings because they're just as important. We also have a good amount of events coming up in 2024. One of my projects has been long-range planning. So we have actually sat down and we have got a calendar and we have scheduled everything out through the end of next year, literally until we're going to have a grand illumination for the house when it's finished next year to celebrate everything that will have changed by that point. Also, we've got our fall and spring reunions. We just had our Christmas open house this weekend. So our Christmas open house was great. We had lots of folks come out, both Saturday and Sunday. More would have probably shown up if the weather hadn't threatened to be so. The weather was just boogery. Saturday it rained, and it was just not. Everybody thought it was going to pour buckets, and they were all like, should we have it? Should we postpone it? Blah, blah, blah. We decided to go on anyway because we have been very blessed with some new split heating and air units. Charlotte Smith and her husband Dane, they donated the labor and the cost of these units to put them in the chapel. So now we have 2 units in there in the chapel that we can go in there, and if somebody wants to come and have a meeting in the chapel or we have a discussion we want to have, we can go meet there and somewhere that's cool that you can cut the air on and not, this summer here in the South is stifling. We all know that. And winter, it gets cold sometimes. And so now we have that to come as a space for us to use, and we haven't had that before. Some other things I want to talk about tonight are just examining our goals and our objectives, both immediate and long-term, for the house and the grounds. So the first thing I'm going to focus on is our new programming. So in that long-term schedule for the next year, we're going to have different kind of themes, I guess you could say, for each weekend. Some of them will repeat, but we want to have new material so that when folks come back, they've got a reason to come back to Harmony Hall, not just come one time, tour the house, and never come back again. That seems to me, personally, has been what I felt like has happened in the past. It's kind of like a one and done, and they haven't had the kind of broad spectrum programming to encourage folks to come back, and that's something we want to do. So on that, it includes creating a presentation for the general store, just explaining the history of Harmony Hall. I'd like to have some custom handouts made for students to take home. Right now, the kids do come out. Some of our teachers, they come out and help with that, and we have those open houses for these kids. But, they don't really have anything to take home with them and take this home and say, hey, Mom, this is what I learned today. That's something I want to change. I want kids to be able to have something to take home with them so they can take it home to their parents, not just educate the child, but educate the parents and say, hey, this is what Harmony Hall is about. This is where I went today. Here's what we learned. So we're going to do an improved rack card. So if anybody knows, if you go on I-95 and you stop at a rest station, you say, hey, I found this little flyer, it's front and back, about the size of a third of a piece of paper. That's a rack card. We're going to move to a rack card instead of brochures. Why? It's cheaper to print, nothing else. We want to be economical with what we do have. And you can just get a lot more for your money. And brochures, if we were, the battleship, we would need a big brochure, but we're really at a point where we could just have a rack card and be good with that. And also have an updated aerial map of the facility. I have a friend of mine who's going to be coming down and taking some aerial photos and videos. He just got his license to do drone flying. So we're going to have some of that footage to be able to put in our videos, and he's going to do it completely free for us. because we're going to be his guinea pig since he just got his license. So I'm excited about that. Our long-term goals, better communication with the public. I'm going to be honest, you know, communication has not been our forte. We have events sometimes and we get so bogged down with life. We're all volunteers. There is no paid staff at all. We do it because we love the place. And so because of that, sometimes we fall down and don't get the word out like we should. And I don't want that to keep happening. And that's why the long-term calendar was one of my goals, because you can't advertise something you haven't scheduled. And so we're going to have this stuff, or even our open house dates, scheduled out so far in advance that we can make sure that everybody knows that these things are going on. We've got a website that we've got up that we need to do some work on still. We're going to have a biannual newsletter. So we've been working on at open house, for example, collecting people's information, you know, their email addresses, so that when we have this newsletter, we can send it out to them and say, here's what's going on at Harmony Hall. And that way we can continue, you know, engaging with the public. Another part of this is going to be broadening the topics covered during the time period. You know, like I said before, a lot of this focus has just been kind of on the house and not on some of the other items there. And those things have not been really shined on like they should have been. And again, I said, you know, about utilizing the other buildings on the property. You know, having the chapel where it's got split units in it right now will be an absolute lifesaver, because until that has happened, we have not even had a place to have our own meetings outside of the chambers at the town hall. And, you know, and that's great, and it's a great place to meet, but I feel like we should have a place on the campus where you can come and meet like that. And even our board should be able to come meet on the property. So some examples of this new programming that I've got here are, we've got 3 different segments that we're going to focus on: Black history, women's history, and Native American history. And one of the things that I've got coming up most immediate is we've got some speakers coming in for education and some dialogue. We're going to try to grow the focus on prominent African Americans tied to the area, not just to the house property itself, but to the area as a whole. You know, there's a lot of folks that don't realize, I've got to get the note out of here, sorry. There's a lot of folks that don't realize that there's a very large history of African Americans tied to the American Revolution. Okay, so I started doing the research myself. I had no idea at all. And I was very shocked with finding out, you know, learning a lot myself. Apparently I didn't pay enough attention in history class. So we also have some personal stories that are tied to Harmony Hall with African Americans, and we want to, you know, work on those and flesh those stories out and present them in a new way and have some displays on that. We're also going to go into women's history. So that's something that's really never been touched on at Harmony Hall at all in any way, shape, or form. You know, and talk about women's impact on the household. Teach kids, if they come out, time period skills. I mean, you know, show them how to, you know, make a kitchen garden, or learn how to quilt, or time period cooking techniques, or preservation techniques for food, things like that. And then going into the Native American history, I want to talk about the Native American ancestors that we know that lived on the land before the Richardson family. There have been a surprising amount of artifacts that we've been found up in a building that they're in Ziploc bags that are deteriorating, and there's arrowheads in there. So, I mean, this is stuff that we know has been found on the property. And there's also in one of our buildings a part of a dugout canoe, actually in the Tatum store. And so we want those things to be part of a display, so we can, you know, have that inclusivity there. So I have a question for you guys. On my slide up here, this first gentleman, do any of you have an idea who that might be? Don't all answer at once. Anybody? That is Crispus Attucks. So I'm going to give you guys some more, my kids would say, who dis? I got some more questions, and we're going to go to our next slide here, which is our upcoming events. And I'll get back to some of these other pertinent things. So upcoming events, we have got, this is some of the stuff, we've got a few things on here from January to December. We've got our next meeting, really that's the most pressing thing that's coming up next, which is in January on the 18th at 7 o'clock at the Elizabeth Town Hall. It's open meeting, so if anybody would like to attend or just learn about Harmony Hall or pin one of us down to ask questions, or if you have questions about history in Bladen County in general, we have some folks that are on our board that are like the Encyclopedia Britannica of Harmony Hall history and history of this area. We're trying to focus on more kids' activities, to have things for kids to not just do when they're there with school groups, but come and have a kids' day, for example. And all the activities. We had the 4-H kids come out for our Christmas open house, but I'd like to have them come back so kids can, see the bunny rabbits and do those kind of other activities. The most exciting thing that I'm so super, super pumped about is on February 24th at 2 o'clock. So during the month of February, we're going to be focused on Black history. And for the last Sunday in February, we're going to have Marsha Herman Giddon come. She wrote this book, Unloose My Heart, A Personal Reckoning with the Twisted Roots of My Southern Family Tree. Marsha, I have spoke with her on numerous occasions. This book she wrote is all about coming to terms with the fact that she's related to the Richardson family, which is the family of the house, and coming to terms with the fact that her folks and her ancestors owned slaves. I mean, that is just like, she is so knowledgeable about the time period and her family's history and the things that happened. And I can't even begin to tell you, when you talk to this lady and you meet this lady, you'll be just like, you will learn so much. Okay. So I'm so excited about her coming and doing this. And she will be there to talk about her book and also, answer questions if anybody has any particular research questions, genealogy research, or just wants to know something else about the time period. We've also got some fundraisers that we're scheduled and some other things that we're scheduling. Unfortunately, we don't really get any funding other than the generous money that you guys have given us. We don't get money from anybody. We got a brown sign by the road, but we're not government funded or anything. We're all volunteers. We literally survive and thrive off of donations. And we've got to do some fundraising. So there's a lot of buildings and grounds things that are going to have to be done. And there's just a lot that needs to be improved. There's been a lot of deferred maintenance that we've had to take care of. So we've got a trivia. They're going to have a trivia night, a trivia afternoon, and a silent auction as part of our fundraisers. We're going to also have a metal detecting dig in April with some guys coming out to teach people how to do metal detecting and unearth more items on the property. And we've got our cleanup day scheduled. The last one we had, that was really big. I mean, we got so much done, and it just really was a big relief to us because we do survive off of volunteers. So we've got our spring and fall reunion days and also our Christmas open house. So we've actually got these things on the schedule that these are the things that we know these are going to happen. So now I'm going to go to my pop quiz. All right. So I wanted you guys not to just hear me rattle on about Harmony Hall, but to get a little taste of the things that you guys are that if you came out for an afternoon, you'll learn about Harmony Hall. So I have a couple questions, and if anybody knows the answer, feel free to blur it out. You probably don't know the answer because I didn't. I will be very honest with you. So who spied for Patriot militia leading to the victory at the Battle of Elizabethtown? I mean, you guys should know this. Very good. Sally Salter. Okay, so here, you get a gold star, sir. Thank you. Okay. Should have all been blurting that out. After this, you'll say, wow, I have a lot of gaps in my requirement. Okay, you can't answer any more then, okay? Next question is how many Black patriots served in the Battle of Guilford Courthouse? Higher. I'm helping. 46 individuals. 46 Black patriots came and served in the Battle of Guilford Courthouse. My next question is both blank and blank women provided domestic services during the war. The blank women labored for both Patriot and Redcoat forces.
Yeah. White and black.
Nope. Close.
Me opinion,
But not close at all, actually. The answer is actually enslaved and Cherokee enslaved. So both Cherokee enslaved and African American enslaved women provided domestic services during the war. And one thing that was surprising for me was that, you know, the amount of enslaved women that labor for both Patriot and Redcoat forces. So, I mean, you had, you know, African American and Cherokee women working both sides of this war, okay, for this country. My next question is, at the time of the American Revolution, enslaved people made up what percent of the population of North Carolina? This one was surprising. I'm full of questions. You know that by now.
42%.
25%, which was, to me, that was surprising to me. I felt like, I mean, I had no clue, but I felt like that was a lot higher number maybe than I anticipated. So, I mean, I hope these questions, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but I hope these questions do maybe pique your interest, but also make you say, maybe I don't know as much as I thought I did. I mean, golly, just me digging around, I just learned a lot. And
We don't know.
so there's a reason for you to come out on Sunday afternoons, anytime you'd like. We're there from 2 to 4 every Sunday. Somebody is generally there. And we are also available, because Maria's got my cell phone number. If somebody wants a tour and you say, I just cannot come on Sunday, I have XYZ obligation, get in touch with us. We have no problem. We've got folks now, especially we've got some folks that live really close that can pop in and literally at any time if they're home and come and open up the grounds or let you guys just kind of wander around. The grounds are open, you know, pretty much. We don't, from daylight, basically daylight hours, the grounds are open, but the house itself and some of the other buildings, we don't really open them unless it's a special event or on that Sunday afternoon scheduled time.
Emily.
Yes.
Can I ask you?
Absolutely.
I was asking Mr. Marker. He used to take groups out there, Boy Scout, and they would clean up after hurricanes and stuff. Do y'all still kind of get
Yes,
come
so
out?
the Boy Scouts do come out. Generally, they've been working on specific projects.
Yeah, that's
There is so much maintenance, yard maintenance, like just stuff like that. It's like, it's so overwhelming that you barely get to do the other stuff you want to do because you're taking mowing grass all summer. You know, it's like, it's a lot. I mean,
When is your cleanup?
we've got 2, they're on that schedule of events.
Can't see it.
I know.
I know they did merit badges though, like you said, they incorporated that.
We're going to do cleanup day is going to be either the
There you go, Mark.
Okay.
3rd or 4th.
Thank you.
Straighten me out, guys. 3rd or 4th weekend in April. I will be sending more information as we get closer. We haven't quite, right, 20th and 27th of April. The reason I said or is because, you know, we can have a rain date that way. If something does happen, you know, if it's pouring, we don't need to be out there doing anything with electricity or any of the other things. Or if it's just, you know, can't function out there.
And also utilize Southeast Crossroads.
Thank you. And I will, and see, this is the other reason why I wanted to come down here, because you guys are a resource and you guys can help. I mean, I don't think about some of this stuff sometimes. We're so used to going to the same places to talk to folks that we've used before. And I feel like, you know, first of all, I don't want to end up, you bother the same people all the time looking for stuff. It puts a bad taste in somebody's mouth. You know, I don't like leaning on just a few volunteers. I want to have more folks involved so that nobody gets burned out and stressed out with this. And I appreciate you telling me that because I just didn't even think about it. So this next slide is kind of a touchy subject. So I'm going to do a little historic mythbusters with you guys. Who is mentioned often along with Harmony Hall and why? And is that legend true?
What'd you say?
I said, who is mentioned often along with Harmony Hall and why?
Or was?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Ms. Bliss.
You're not told us yet.
Cornwallis. So now I need my public here and my lovely commissioners to go forth and let folks know that is not true. Sorry, wrong answer. Cornwallis did not come to Harmony Hall. Sorry to bust everybody's bubble. I'm telling you. He did not come to Harmony Hall, but that has been the myth that has been perpetuated over and over and over and over. for a couple of reasons. One, there was this book that was published by a lady called Harmony Hall. Her name was Jane Meredith, and it is for lack of better descriptors, a smutty romance novel, okay? I haven't read it yet, but from my understanding, one of the girls started to read it. She could only get about 25, 30 pages into it, and she said she had to put it down. That book has a lot of this legend in it, and people have taken that as being the gospel of the history of Harmony Hall, and it ain't true. It's on our road markers up there about Cornwallis. It ain't true. Sorry, it's not. So that was one thing. So if you guys hear somebody talk about that in Harmony Hall, please correct them.
You asked your dad?
I'm not getting my daddy involved in it.
Ask your dad when you get home. I bet he knows.
Fathers always know everything, especially attorney fathers. They know everything. Yeah. I had a very interesting childhood, okay? Can't get anything past my dad. My kids can't get anything past me. Okay, so real quick here, I just want to go over some of the goals for the village. You know, I want to focus on what we do have. You know, every time you look at something like this, you say, I don't have enough of whatever. We can't be worried about what we don't have. We've got to focus on what we do have, and that's what we've got to start capitalizing on. So, you know, I want to use these other buildings more. Like I said, the chapel, now that we can go in there, the schoolhouse. I want to be able to show students what it was like to go back to school in like the early 1920s, you know, and let them read that board in there that has all this description of, you know, you can't show your ankles and you got to be single. You know, it's funny to us now, but it was not funny back then. The general store up front, you know, we're going to have I want some standing exhibits in there on these other topics that we haven't really capitalized on. And then being able to use the grounds for outdoor recreation. I mean, like you said, Dr. Ellis, you know, Boy Scouts do come out. They come out, they'll camp for a weekend, they'll work on a specific project. But there's a lot of times that there are things that we need more help with. And kids can do some things, but they can't do everything. They can't run a chainsaw. So that's where, you know, they're great help, but they can only do what they're capable of doing. So that's where we're going to try to do things like Dig Day. So the Dig Day weekend is going to be a 3-day thing where they're going to come on Friday night. Everybody's going to set up their tents. They're going to camp out. Saturday, we'll have our digging with, we're going to have cordoned off specific areas because you can't dig around the house because it's, you know, covenanted property. You know, there's a specific radius that you have to be away from the house. And we're going to have it marked. And then anything that's found will become part of Harmony Hall's exhibits. So, and we want to do more things like that, more camping events. I actually had a group of Girl Scouts reach out to us this weekend at the open house, and so they're wanting to come. So I'm excited about that. Of course, building funds. So I won't read through all these things because I've mentioned most of them, but they're here. I would say the highlight of this, the thing I want to do is make designated sinking funds for these buildings. You know, the house focus is the house focus, and we have that money now thanks to you guys' generous money and the reimbursable grant that we've got. And we want to focus on getting the house finished. But these other buildings, we don't need to let them just fall into disrepair. So I'd like to have some designated, you know, line items in our budget to be able to focus on those other property buildings on the property. And then the other part of this, I would say, is invest in projects that will be completed and finished sustainably. I have a bone to pick with the trail behind Harmony Hall. We have fixed that bleeding trail so many times I can't even tell you. And we fixed it. Everything was great for a while. Storm came through, washed it out. Fixed it again. Spent $2,000 on having dirt hauled in to fix it up and shore it up and get it fixed again. And 2 weeks later, another storm came in and washed it out. Okay? I'm going to start looking. I've got help with my board, and we're going to start looking for some grant money and stuff. If we're going to fix it, we need to fix it permanently. I'm tired of throwing money down the toilet, working on a trail. That's money that could be used for something else. That's my personal opinion. I'm salty with the whole trail business. I want to get it fixed, but I want to get it fixed right. And that's one of my big priorities. Once the house is back in shape, is we're going to get the trail ready, but I want the trail ready where it's done permanently. I don't have $2,000 to wash out into the woods. So does anybody have any questions?
Thank you for coming.
Okay. I do want to update you guys real quick on two things. One, I got an email from Dan Becker He is our hurricane grant manager. I asked him for an update on what the situation is with the house. So, we got that money it's a reimbursable grant, so we'll get that money back. So we're able to spend the ARPA money on, getting the house back in shape, and then we get reimbursed by them. So our engineer reports that the initial schematics of the drawings will be submitted, for review in about 2 weeks. And once the historic preservation folks sign off on it, then he said it could take up to 30 days, that we should be able to hear hammers swinging. I'm hoping by January, close of January. So we're going to get that, it's really been beyond our control. You got government money, you got government red tape. You guys know that. You got to follow your procedures. You got to make sure your money's right. You got to make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to. So I'm ready to get working on it, and we're all ready to get working on it. So our last meeting was October 26th, and we did touch on our budget, and I just wanted to let you guys know that we spent about $25,000 of the ARPA money towards some of these other buildings, like getting the chapel, some things fixed, and a few other little things that really we had windows busted out, window sashes that had to be completely rebuilt, and some things like that. And I'm glad to discuss that with anybody. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. So the money is still safe in our hands, because that grant is a reimbursable grant. We don't have the $115,000 from that reimbursable grant to go spend. So we're relying on that ARPA money. And then once it's spent, we'll be able to use, through that threshold and get reimbursed, we'll be able to use the rest of it to finish out the house, if that makes any sense. Questions?
Thank you. No.
Absolutely.
I got one question.
Sure.
Historic preservation folks, how much are they getting out of it,
They're not getting anything. I mean, they're just doing the administration side of this. The administration in the sense of, the administration is being done by Bladen County. Chuck Eustace's office is helping us with that, okay? And they're helping with the money side of that grant. But the historic preservation, they're oversight, because it's their money that we're spending. Well, just like our little loan, they're going to reimburse us on.
Thanks.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Marie, any other individuals?
Buddy Strickland.
I just got a little campground in Bladen, just got a problem with the D.
But you can sit down right there, that table.
The D boxes, they don't work.
County says we got to have, but anyway, and I could talk to tomorrow night this time. I got a box full of them.
Speak up a little bit.
So I got a box full of, I've talked to electrical inspectors in I don't know how many counties. Nobody's got it. I've talked to the National Campground Association, the North Carolina Campground. Nobody recommends it. But anyhow, Bladen County's the only county, I think, out of 100 that's got it. I think. That's what I've been told. But anyway, the bottom line to me is I don't really care. It's the code problem. And Matthew's just doing his job. He's got to enforce the code. And he blames it on North Carolina. But I keep telling him, I said, if you blame it on North Carolina, they got Lake Norman just passed this summer, built a new campground. Their boxes are just like mine I put up. Billy just fixed a campground at Lake Waccamaw. Their boxes are just like mine, passed just like mine.
Wait 1 minute. I didn't do the campground. I go down there and do work at the campground, but I seen the boxes were being put in, and I checked the boxes out myself, and the boxes were just like what we're doing over here, and they passed. This thing come about back there in 2017, like letter you got there, and as it goes, somebody's brother, sister, somebody another on the board, so to speak, maybe selling GFCIs. This stuff got pushed through, and then they realized later that it weren't gonna work. But nobody likes to get caught with egg on their face and say, well, we've implemented something here that is no good. We have videoed this and have proved that it is not working like it's supposed to. I've got a camper myself. I've pulled it throughout different areas, and I've made it my business to look at the campground boxes that are new to see what is being done. And nobody I have gone to anywhere has 30 amp and 50 amp GFCI on their feeder breakers. This is where the confusion is come in. They are classifying the 30 amp 120 volt feeder for a camper that don't have a 30 amp panel in it as having to have GFCI. But that cord is considered a feeder for the simple reason it derives at a breaker box over there. It goes to a breaker box over here. And then that feeder cord plugs in there and goes into the camper, which has a panel box inside, which has GFCI protection on. And when you double hook up GFCIs, they interfere with one another and it causes them to trip out. So when we came up with this, I went to Matt to start with him, and I don't want nobody to think that I'm against Matt, because I think the world of Matt. I've worked with Matt for years. But there's a problem here, and Matt can't fix it, and I can't fix it. And their solution is, well, you go ahead and do it this way, and when we leave, you undo the wire. Well, that's getting him off the hook. But that's putting the hook on the man over here for his campground. So, you know, that's not the way to handle. When you got a problem like that, you've got to address it and come to a reasonable answer. We look at that electric code. We look at that electrical code book as our Bible, just like the Holy Bible. We interpret it just like everybody interprets the Bible their way, you know. But that's all we got to go by. And when we do our work according to that and follow the amendments and so forth that they tell us to, and then turn us down and cost us a lot of money. If anybody's done any electrical work in the last 3 years, you know how expensive it is. That new campground that's across from the lake over there, I was told the other day that they bought in excess of $30,000 worth of GFCI breakers and then had to turn around and take them out. That's not an answer to the problem.
And he told us the other day he's about 50,000 more.
But see,
don't work.
As good as Raleigh might be up there, they're not the brightest light bulb in the state.
See, Adam says at Clearwater, he fixes it just like Matt and the county wants it. He says he come out and inspects it and he passes it.
And when all this come about, I take a continuing education course every year. I took one this past Saturday from a state inspector who's doing FEMA inspections in Bladen County and Columbus County. And I brought this up to him because I didn't know I was coming here tonight, but it's a good thing I did. And we went over this very thing. And his answer to me was, I agree with you on what's happened. You know, that you know it won't work and so forth. He says, but I can't tell you how to fix it. All I can tell you is when we inspect it and then we leave, you go there and unhook the ground wire from it and just run it on a neutral and the ground. The code has a clause in there for wiring in old houses that don't have but 2 wires in it, no ground. Well, if you change a receptacle out, you can go there and put a GFCI breaker in it and keep right on trucking. But if you don't do that, you got to tear the wire out of it and put a 3-wire conductor. So there is ways around problem that you're having. And see, in January of 23, and my continuing ed class teacher sent me this. He, by the way, he's a state inspector at Fort Bragg. He sent me a memo. I got it on my phone in here, stating that because I asked him how were these other counties getting around it and not doing it, because Columbus County don't do it. Down there at the beach, don't do it. Holden's Beach don't do it. I went to a campground down there that's got a new campsite in it. Their panel boxes don't have none of this in it. But there's an article, he sent it to me, stating that as of January the 1st, 2023, each local municipality has the right to overturn that code and amend it and do away with it. And see, that's where the state ain't gonna do it. And their reason is they haven't adopted the code. I talked to the insurance commissioner, and I won't never talk to him no more. But the thing is, his last words to me was, it weren't gonna be adopted this year, and it would probably be the middle of 2025 before something was ever done about it. So therefore, that what the inspector sent me says that as of the 1st of January, each local municipality could opt to do away with that requirement of having 30 and 50 amp receptacles on mobile home RV panels done away with. You still got your 15, 20 amp GFCI there that you plug a drop cord in. A lot of these campers, they want to string their lights up. It's understandable. Therefore, that needs to be on it. The panel is built for that. But the other requirement requiring the panel box to have GFCI on something like it, they're enforcing on us here, will not work. If it won't,
they don't make an RV pedestal box with a GFI in it.
I'm gonna let you respond, then I'll let the commission respond, if that's okay.
Yes, sir. First of all, let me say, Mr. Green did a great job of explaining the dilemma, as I understand it. And he referenced the letter. Let me just make sure everybody's on the same page. A representative from the National RV Parks Association wrote a letter to the chief state inspector on behalf of Camp Clearwater in Bladen County, and you have a copy of this. And basically explained the situation just like Mr. Green did. There's a question about feeders and branches and all that type of thing. And so you can see on page 2 and page 3 of that letter, I'll go to the last paragraph on page 3, and he's responding to him. He really comes on strong earlier, but just to give you the gist of it, and again, this was in April of this year. He says, it is without question that RV parks in North Carolina have been constructed using equipment for their pedestals, service poles, and power boards that meet state code by providing GFCI protection to outdoor 30 and 50 amp receptacle outlets for the last 3 years. The intent of the Electrical Ad Hoc Committee to adopt the 2020 State Electrical Code was specifically to require outdoor 30 and 50 amp receptacle outlets in RV parks to possess GFCI protection. Therefore, it will remain a requirement in North Carolina. So that was in April. So when Mr. Britt, and I think the conversation, maybe when I heard about it initially was in September, if I'm not mistaken. And so Matt reached back out to the state for clarification. And what Matt had become aware of at that time from Mr. Strickland or somebody was that Jones Lake State Parks RV campground did not require it. It's referenced in this letter from the gentleman on behalf of Camp Clearwater in an email. It's not in that letter, but in an email in the same documentation, that Lake Norman State Park did not require it. Now I hear you say Lake Waccamaw did as well. So I don't know why. So anyway, Matt included that in some of the back and forth response with the guy from the Department of Insurance in Raleigh, and said, you know, I understand, I hear sometimes that other counties don't do things, but he said, but when I hear that the state didn't require it in our own county, he said, you're making me look like a fool. And so, anyway, that guy clarified that it is a requirement back in September. So that's the two things I know of specifically. I reached out to this guy again last week to see if there was any exception that we didn't know about, and I have not heard back from him. That was like, I think Thursday, if I'm not mistaken.
Mr. Evans. I was gonna ask, have any counties adopted that January 1st amendment rule or ability that you said?
Most all of them have.
So they've gone through, you're saying through their local governing board, and they overrode, and they're fine.
Where is this published at? You got a copy of something like that?
It's off of the National Electrical Code Amendment.
Well, I like to get it to us, because the way I understand the law, excuse me.
We got it.
Okay, the way I understand the law now, it's required. The law says you have to do what you don't want to do. And it's a double standard.
We don't mind doing it if it works.
That's right, but it's a double standard. You said the state.
They can do one thing, we have to do something else.
No question. But at the same token, if it's a law and you can amend it, that's fine, or you can withdraw from it. But you just said, if I heard you right, and I can't hear.
Yeah, they have, Bladen County has the right to amend it.
That's not, okay, amend what?
That requirement.
Okay, whatever that, if you can get that to us.
I wish those guys would have shared that. They hadn't.
See, how did the other counties, all the other counties get?
Okay, if we could have that, that's the key.
Well, then you just read that
law,
out. I sent it to Matt.
The key is what counties have done it. He wants to know what counties have done it. In other words, you want to see a vote.
Go talk to Jones Lake, go talk to the people with
Jones Lake, it's a state inspector.
in your county did it.
No, I was, but he was saying, which I'm not arguing with you. What he was saying was the municipality have done it in other counties, and I think that's what, so it would just require to see the minutes on when they did that. We amended that and we overruled it, and that would be your answer. It wouldn't be hypothetical. It would be that it would be shown in a vote record, right?
Mr. Cameron? Exactly. I think, potentially this is the easiest problem we've ever had to solve since I've been here. Matt's in favor of amending.
He wants it done.
He wants it done, makes his life easier. They are putting in an enormous amount of campsites right now that we could head off and they can maybe return some of this stuff before they have to put it in and then take it out after they can't, once it's in, they can't return it. I mean, is there any way for us tonight to say, we want to overturn it if it is legal to do so, instead of waiting 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 months? What can we do right now to say, if it is legal? Because I'm aware, I know Ray is as well, I'm aware that it's, I mean, they've got a video when they plug in the camper, thing trips.
Matt seen it Friday. He plugged it in and seen it. It will not work.
I just hate for us to drag this out for the next 6 months.
Mr. Britt.
Mr. Chair, I think what's important, there's 2 or 3 things here. Is Matt witnessed it, and I'm like them, I defend Matt in the situation, and he's trying to defend his own license. But at the same time, when our inspector looked at it, saw that it didn't work, and Buddy said, now what do I do? And he said, I don't know.
Yeah. I said, we got a problem.
That's not a good answer.
It don't work. This is your box. It don't work. I said, what have I got to do to fix it?
And how much money have you already lost?
He said, I don't know.
How much money have you already lost?
Well, I mean, I spent $150,000 or $75,000 on redoing the campground. I need to get a plaque for cleaning it up. But anyway.
Yeah, but you said based on this.
Yeah, I've lost $35,000 rent this summer, and ain't far from losing it again starting January. Sitting there open, ready to go.
I was just going to ask, when you said he walked away from the box and said, well, just unhook it, and when I'm gone. Of course, that's probably not a good recommendation, but you said he would be on the hook, and then what do you mean, liability wise?
Yeah, what you mean? He's saying if he inspects it without it being in there, he's on the hook, and therefore to get him off the hook, put us on the hook. When he walks away, we pull the ground off of it so it'll stay.
You're saying you would be on the hook with who? The state?
If something did happen.
The insurance commissioner told me that.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is.
I think the thing is, there needs to be a vote record somewhere from another county that the precedent's already been set. I mean, don't you?
See, the boxes, you buy them RV boxes, they're UL approved, weather approved. They got the breakers and the receptacles in them.
Buddy met with 3 inspectors from Raleigh, or Buddy didn't, our friend did, and they all 3 said.
That's from the North Carolina code book. He said the newest, the latest, the greatest. And the book says NEC, which he says North Carolina adopts, and it says with North Carolina, what do you call it? No,
Dr. Ellis,
with North Carolina amendments.
Dr. Ellis, in response to what you're saying though, he's got to spend the money to buy it before he can, and hook it up, before he can unhook it. No, it's just.
Before I can get current.
That's right.
It's got to pass. See, Clearwater, Adam says that Clearwater is the biggest campground around. They fix it just like Matt wants it. He says when he told me, he's the first one that told me about it. I said, well, what you do? He said, well, we fix it just like they want it. They come inspect it. It's fine. He okays it. We wave at him and smile when he gets in his truck. When he's leaving, we see out of sight. We take a screwdriver. We take a wire off, and it works fine.
Well, keep in mind though, in response to what Ray just said, I'm not advocating you do that, by the way. I'm not
That's what
advocating.
Matt wants you to do.
Well, I know, I'm not. I was just asking a question. I wasn't advocating you spend money.
Matt told him to do that.
Did Matt tell you that or the other guy? Did Matt tell you when I leave, you do what you want to do?
No, Matt didn't tell me that.
Well, believe me, he's told me that enough. I mean,
And Sandy Ridge, I talked to him, Sandy Ridge, he's got them all. He said, I fix them just like he wants them. They inspect it. And he said, you know, they ain't a one of them work yet. I said, well, what do you do? He says, when we pull a camper over there, we have to take the ground fault breaker out. They take the whole breaker out and put a regular one in.
let me clarify. But Matt is well aware that's what Clearwater does. That's my point. He ain't going back up there. He's glad
Well,
that
he has
you
no
do it.
reason to go back.
What I'm saying, he's glad the problem's fixed and he.
They told him it don't work.
This is what I'm gonna do. We're not gonna take a vote on it tonight. I got an appointment at 7:30 in the morning at the doctor's office. When I get out of that, I'll be in Greg's office and we're gonna call Eddie Mann and everybody we can call. And if we can do it, we'll do it. We'll call emergency board meeting in 2 days to vote on it.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Thank you.
That's the,
But I don't just take my word for it. Call these other counties.
That's what I said. We got to confirm it.
That's what he's saying.
We're gonna confirm it. And if we can do it, we'll call emergency board meeting in 2 days.
Yeah.
Don't we have to give 2 days, Greg?
Yeah.
That's for an official meeting. An emergency meeting can be
But we should.
right away.
Okay, right away. That's okay.
bottom line to me is, I don't care if it's the National Electric Code, North Carolina's code, Bladen County's code, Santa Claus wants it. I don't care what it is, it don't work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm saying ask them to do something that don't work. That's what I.
Once they take this wire loose, who's the liability on that?
That's what we want to know.
The person that took it loose.
So see that, you buy that box, you buy that box, the RV boxes, they come with receptacles and breakers and everything's wired in it. And it's UL approved. But if you alter it, you take the breaker, they ain't got ground fault breakers. You got to take them breakers out, you've altered that box. So you lose your warranty and whatever else, I don't know.
Liability be on you.
That's right.
Buddy, is that all right if we do that?
Yes, sir. That's right. Yes, sir.
First thing in the morning, we'll go work on it. Anybody wants to be here at 8 o'clock, be in Greg's office, 8:30.
They want to tell you what to do.
Okay.
They don't.
And we'll let you know
I
something.
have to call.
Tomorrow. I'll call you. Everybody.
Already tried to.
Thank you, sorry for all the trouble.
Thank y'all for coming.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Y'all have any leftover cupcakes online?
Thank you so much.
Please do.
You might be having.
Thank y'all for coming. We'll get this on in the morning. Any more individuals? Ray Marie. Matters of interest commissioners. So I have one. So, the military was supposed to be here tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I got a email late this evening about midday, wasn't it, Greg? Yes, sir. That, they evidently got some military requirements and they can't come until Wednesday. So we're gonna meet Wednesday at 10 o'clock in Greg's conference room, and whoever wants to come to discuss this Kelly dock. We got Tillis's office coming, we got Ted Budd's coming, we got Browder coming. Got a lot of people coming, FEMA's coming, or we're going to at least chime in on the Zoom or whatever. And we're hoping this is the golden egg. So
That's
if you
the
want,
administrative building.
if you want to be part of it, Wednesday instead of Tuesday.
I think the EOC.
Yes. Okay. Anybody got anything else? Okay, Department of, Social Service, Vicki Smith, Director, update regarding the recent established on-call position.
Good evening. Okay, I wanted to come back and give you a little report on our 2 on-call positions. That, granted, we got one in our budget from last year, and then we switched one of our daytime positions to an on-call position, so we have 2. It's been very beneficial, not only to just the on-call piece of reports coming in after hours, but it has been a great resource for our daytime staff. On average, they are earning, this is to show you that it's very beneficial, how much work goes on after 5 o'clock in Child Protective Services. On average, they're doing about 8 hours overtime each pay period. Just as recent as yesterday, the on-call worker, she started at 9 o'clock. She didn't finish till 11:30 last night. And there's been multiple nights that it's gone past 12. So it is beneficial. We are short-staffed, so they are able to help what flows over from the daytime to the evening, plus to take those on-call reports that come in. Yesterday, what we were dealing with was a family of 5 children. The family had to name placements for them, and that ranged from Onslow County and Brunswick County and Bladen. So that was just a huge amount of work. So it's just the staff talking with them. They're very grateful. One of the workers told me, he said, I also like it because, you know, when you've got the on-call worker that starts a case, initiates a case, it's a different, it's another set of eyes on that case. So it's working wonderfully. It has improved our morale. It means that our staff, our daytime staff, they're not having to cover on call. They're working their 7.5 hours and then having to work 8 hours and come back to work at 8:30 the next morning. So I'm not seeing those droopy eyes from not getting sleep. I'm just seeing droopy eyes from all the work that they are doing. Also, I brought with me tonight Miss Amy Henson. She's our Family and Children's Medicaid Supervisor. We wanted to give you an update on Medicaid expansion. That historic date came statewide on Friday. We thought when we arrived at 8:30 we were going to see lines to the hospital. We didn't have lines. We only had 6 e-pass applications that came through online, and we had 6 that walked in. Now today it ticked up just a little bit more. We had 16 e-passes, and I think there were 4 that came in. So just to give you a little update on Medicaid expansion, what it entails, it is the age population 19 to 64. We do know that we are going to get approximately 2,660 cases through this process. Our family planning that comes under Family and Children's Medicaid, that is a limited program for female and male gynecological situations. Those cases will be reevaluated by the state and then put on Medicaid expansion. And in Bladen County, that's going to be about 1,073 cases. So that'll be rolled into Medicaid expansion, or what we call MXP. With Medicaid expansion, you do not have to have a child in the home to receive, so that's going to open up to a lot more households. And I did want to brag on something else. We were granted a trainer, staff developer for Family and Children's Medicaid, and that came just at the right time. Krista Murdoch is the person that is in that position, and she's training 3 staff at one time by the use of laptops. They're already able to navigate the program, and they're already taking some paper applications in about, 3 weeks? So I think we're doing pretty good. Any questions about Medicaid expansion?
Thought y'all were gonna have a lot of questions.
Thank you, have a good night.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Revenue Department, Ms. Renee Davis. Regarding the Alfred Ayers.
Good evening. Yes, as you remember, at the September 5th board meeting, Ms. Marie McCoy spoke directly with you about different assessed values from the years 1998 to 2023, and they were on 3 different parcels. After thorough research, I provided a spreadsheet of the assessed values of the years mentioned, and I shared it with you by email. On November the 3rd, a letter and a spreadsheet were mailed to Ms. Marie about the values, and in the letter I recommended if she was dissatisfied with the current value, she could appeal in 2024, January of 2024. Is there any questions that you would like to ask about the values or anything? Okay.
This is not the case that's been appealed, is it?
No.
Okay.
That's later.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Human Resource, Tycel Jones, Director. Consider approving employee appreciation 2-hour pay leave.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I'm here to ask if you would consider approving the employee appreciation for 2-hour paid leave for all employees that are hired effective 12/1 of 2023. All employees will be able to use the 2-hour paid time by June 30th of 2024.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Bullock, second by Mr. Hess to approve the 2-hour paid leave for employee appreciation. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Advisory Board appointment, Bay Tree Lake.
Motion to reappoint.
Motion by Mr. Hester, second by Mr. Cameron to reappoint. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Clarkton, ETJ.
Motion to reappoint.
Second. Motion by Mr. Bullock, second by Mr. Gillespie to reappoint. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Clarkton Fire Service District.
Motion to reappoint. Second. Motion to appoint Kelly Marsh Mize as an unexpired term of the end reappoint.
Murray, where is the unexpired term? Yeah, but his time comes up. It came up, didn't it? 25, okay, I'm sorry, you're right. Okay, the motion is to report Julia Ward Simulus, Marlo Grant, and Kelly Morris Mize.
Second.
Mr. Hester makes the motion. Mr. Bullock second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 10, we got some advisory appointments on December 18th. Look at them. And now we'll go to item 11, the ARP Plan Act.
All righty, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have information there at your table. And we have 3 applications that are available for your consideration this evening. The first is an application from the Inman Fire Department in the amount of $5,000. And that would be District 3. I don't know if you want me to just cover all 3 or if you want to talk about it one at a time.
Let's do them separate. Is there a motion to approve the Inman Fire Department? Mr. Cameron, second by Mr. Ellis. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye. Thank you. The second one is a request from Bladen County Youth Focus, or an application actually, in the amount of $89,200. There are no funds that have been identified for this purpose.
Can we, a motion to table until we get, sort of an update on where that project is? That'd be.
the project is where it's almost done with the renovations. They got the floors done, they got the windows put in, they have painted everything. So this is one of the last steps. They got a roof put on. So the project's about completed. The air conditioning is the big thing now.
Most by Mr. McGill to table. Is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Chairman, would it be possible to have a tour? I'd love to get an update. We were gonna do that, I think, in July, and we just kind of never did.
I can't say when they can come. I just know what's been going on with the project. I can't tell you when you can come. I know she's about ready for you to come.
I know we were gonna do, I think, in July, we just kind of.
She wants to do something, on the side of a little bit of an open house deal. So that's what she wants to do, but the project's almost complete.
Mr. Martin, follow up with that. What's the third item, Mr. Martin?
The third is an application for Fayetteville Area Habitat for Humanity in the amount of $250,000.
That's instead of SAP, that's most to,
First by Mr. Jackson, second by Mr. Cameron. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
County manager, Mr. Martin.
Thank you. I'll review the calendar with you for the months of December and January. Beginning with Friday the 8th, from 6 until 9 p.m., there's a nativity walk at West Bladensboro Baptist Church, Bladensboro. Saturday the 9th, 7:30 a.m. until 11 a.m., there's pancakes with Santa at the Parks and Entertainment Center. Also that day at 11, there's a cornhole tournament at West Bladensboro High School to benefit the Booster Club. On Monday the 11th at 5 p.m., the Health and Human Services Advisory Committee meets at the Health Department. Tuesday the 12th.
That's being canceled.
That's been canceled.
Yes, sir.
On Tuesday the 12th at 5 p.m., the Board of Elections meets. On Wednesday the 13th at 8:30 a.m., there's a voluntary agricultural district meeting at the Powell Health Center. Also that day from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m., there's a Commissioner Appreciation Lunch scheduled at Bladensboro First Baptist Church. On Saturday the 16th, there's a Whoville Christmas celebration at 704 Chicken Foot Road in Tar Heel. On Monday the 18th at 6:30, the board meets here. County offices will be closed on the 25th, 26th, and 27th for the Christmas holiday. Moving over to January, county offices are closed on Monday the 1st, for the New Year's holiday. The board has a meeting on Tuesday the 2nd at 6:30 p.m. here. County offices are closed on Monday the 15th in observance of the Martin holiday. Also, the 35th annual parade will take place on that date at 11 a.m. in Elizabethtown. And then on the 16th at 6:30 p.m. for meetings. Just to mention, or to remind you, first and second meeting, first and third Mondays, Tuesday, rather than Monday and Tuesday.
Mr. Martin, January 2nd, prayer service, 8 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
And, on December 13th, the commissioners that can come, we kind of need to get a count. The Bladensboro First Baptist, they're feeding all the emergency people in the town of Bladensboro people. And it's emergency people working days, we're not feeding just the day workers. So it'd be a good time to just get a free meal and say thank you. Greg, you and everybody also.
Okay, thank you.
Whatever you want to do, we just give me a count.
All right, there's.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item B.
Item B, and I'll just mention item B, seeing that they are items for review at this meeting, and then if you have any feedback or changes, suggestions, or revisions, if you may, please let us know. They include the rules of procedure for the Board of Commissioners, the code of ethics for the Board of County Commissioners, and the conflict of interest policy. We're planning to have these on the next agenda for adoption, as we do on an annual basis. If you have any feedback before then, please let us know.
individuals delegation wish to address the commissioner? Matters of interest, commissioner?
I want to beat a dead horse, I've asked every law enforcement officer I've talked to, how many tickets have you written for sound ordinance? None. It's so bad you can't hardly stand in E-Town, and something's got to be done. At some point, something's got to be done.
Did we ever send letters to those towns, Greg?
Yes, sir.
You don't send no letter? I mean, I'm just asking, I don't know what to do.
I honestly think it's getting worse. I mean, it's just, and it is.
Maybe we need to quit sending letters.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing too, or just thinking about transportation in that regard is, I know, which it seems like each year, the chairman was sending a letter to, in regard to Tar Heel speed zone, because, you know, they keep begging to try to get that lowered. I think maybe Ray wrote a letter, but, you know, they're just hoping it would go to 35 and not 45 because, you know, and I talked to Sam and he just, you know.
The past few times, I don't know if you noticed it, but the past few times I've passed through there, or at least a couple of times, the deputy parks in the middle lane there, the turn lane.
Yeah.
In front of the school, like during early hours, and I mean, I know that's not all, they're asking for it all the time, I understand that, but at least during the school time, that seems to be a good measure.
We talk about things, but I mean, there was a very serious wreck in front of East Bladen this morning. Somebody was airlifted, so I mean, serious stuff.
Which we just wrote a letter about that within the past month. An email.
At the last meeting, we requested that the speed limit be lowered in that area. But they come through there, they be rolling.
They're moving.
The trucks be rolling.
They're bearing down on you like, unbelievable.
Really. Ms. Pearson, yesterday I found this, and I don't know about the rest of it, Mr. Bullen may, but I get calls from residents, especially in the Newtown area on Martin Luther King, about the four-wheelers. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you know, I'm a county commissioner, even though I sympathize with you. And I've actually left and went and found a police officer and told him, you know, because I'd be at the store or whatever. But I found yesterday, and I have to be honest with you, Mr. Cheshire, I saw him last year. He was pumping gas, and a four-wheeler pulled up at Campbell Station right next to Giorgio's, getting gas in a four-wheeler. So he went over to him. And, but yesterday, I can be at my store on Sunday afternoon. They all over the roads and they don't care. But now this is what was ironic yesterday. I'm starting to go home and I'm like, getting there in the tires, there's two four-wheelers. Sitting there, so I turn around and I go park right at the hospital. I'm like, let me just see how long this goes on. You get air in the tires, they go in and get them something to drink. Then you get back on the four-wheelers, and before they could, when they left that station, and before they could get to Martin Luther King, he had to have got to 70 or 75 miles an hour, the first one. And then the other one took off in behind him. And I know the rule is, from what I understand, they can't chase them. And I was told the reason being, if a 14-year-old and you chase him, then he gets killed, then they look at it like you don't have anything else to do but chase this 14-year-old, and it caused him to get killed because he ran off the road or whatever. And I understand that. But some of this stuff, if they're not doing, you know, if you're not going to do it, just take it off the books. That way we don't get the call. And, but I can sympathize with some of it, but it seems to be that it's just okay. You know, discipline just seems to be okay.
Yeah. And speaking to this, they have chased them. They chased them through my yard. Right. My yard had to be repaired by me. Yeah. So, but when they're not chasing them, guess what? They're on the paper. Yes, sir. They're not in my yard.
That's what I'm saying.
They were running from them through my yard.
Swansea Street's a drag strip.
Yeah, I mean, they come through my neighborhood all the time. Finally, you learn how to live with it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'm getting a lot of calls, and I told them none of our business though, but we get a lot of calls about the water bills within the town. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Yeah, I told them go see the town manager.
I'll let White Light go.
Mr. Martin, will you just pass this on to whoever?
Yeah, a lot of water, they complain about the
So,
water bill.
in the morning at 8:30,
I'll be there.
whoever wants to be there, we're gonna start working on this electrical stuff.
to be there, but I'll be in South.
Okay.
I think I got.
You said 8, I can be there at 8, but 8:30.
Hey, Sergeant Chris, time starts.
I've got
Oh, I can be there anytime.
to be in Lincoln at 9:30, so.
What time? 8 o'clock?
Because you got a doctor's appointment, 7:30. What time can you be at his office?
By 8 o'clock.
I'll be there at 8. I'll be there at 8.
Maybe I'll handle it before I get there.
You can have it.
Eddie don't go to
All right.
work.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion by Mr. Woods, second, Mr. Cameron, adjourn, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.